Jeff Rood here with Gary Player. Gary, it's a pleasure to see you.
Pleasure to see you.
You're in the outskirts of St. Andrews, and we were just talking off camera about your first time to St. Andrews. An interesting story. Why don't you pick it up? You came here with not a lot of money in your pocket.
Yeah, and I would just say time is a significant word in your life as you get older, because your memories go back all the time. You find yourself thinking of great memories. And I arrive here in 1955. My father gives me a set of clubs back home. Very poor man, gets an overdraft to give me the clubs. When you think about the story as compared to today, it's significant. And my club give me an air ticket costing, I don't know what, £100 in those days. £100 to get over here. And I arrive with £200 in my pocket, come up by train from London, and I arrive at Lucas Station. The driver, I said, stop the car. And I looked at Lucas Station. And I just said a little word of prayer, of thanks, where I've come from that day at Lucas Station. And somebody gives me a ride into town, and I come to the hotels. Rusak's was one of the first, £50 or something, or £40. Gee, next hotel, 35. I said, I can't afford this. Right. Could not find a hotel. I'm down on the beach where they did Chariots of Fire.
Really?
And I sleep on the beach.
You sleep on the beach?
Take my waterproof in those little sand dunes. You can see them, they roll like this. I take my waterproofs, a sweater, and I put my golf bag down. It was a very nice evening, and I slept on the beach. Go up to the hotel the next day. A hotel right opposite the green. Here's the tee, there's the green. Right on the right-hand side, there's a hotel. I don't know if it's still a hotel. I get a room for 10 and sixpence a day. 10 shillings and sixpence, that's $1.50. There's no curtains. 4 o'clock in the morning, the sun's up. 11 o'clock at night, the sun's still up. So I go and buy a sheet. And two clothes pegs, and I fling them up on the top. And I do that. I said to the guy, you told me this room was facing the sea. He says, it wasn't the sea, it was a WC. I said, man, this room is so small, the bloody mice are hunchbacked. I said, I put my key in the slot and the window breaks. I said, he says, well, what do you expect for 10 and 6 butterflies? we had a great laugh. And then I get on the first tee the next day, and I mean, this is royal, as the Scots say, royal groom. And I tee my ball up, and there's this guy standing there, this big dour guy. Play away, laddie. And I hit the worst, crappiest shot you've ever seen. As you know, Ray Charles can't miss these fairways. Right. And I hit the damn out-of-bounds fence, and thank God it kicks back on the fairway. And I'm walking away, and the guy says, come here a minute, laddie. He says, what's your name? I said, my name's Gary Player, sir. And he says, and where are you from? I said, I'm from South Africa. He says, and what is your handicap? I said, no, I'm a pro. He says, you're a pro. I said, yes, I am. He says, you must be a hell of a chipper and putter. He says, because you can't hit the ball worth a damn. So would you believe it? A few years later, I win the British Open. Youngest man to ever win the Open, 23. And I come back to the course, and there he's on the tee. And he is so embarrassed. He says, it's a bloody miracle. He says, from when I first saw you hit the ball here, and you're the Open champion, I can't believe it. He says, I said, come on, I'll buy you a wee drum, a little drink. We went to the clubhouse, I bought him a little scotch there, and we had a good drink together.
So you've played a bunch of Opens at St. Andrews.
Either 46 or 47 straight Opens, which is a record.
What is your favorite memory of playing an Open at St. Andrews? And then what was the moment that maybe hurt the most, where you felt you...
I think my favorite moment was, on every occasion, it was very similar. The word was gratitude. I think when you're poor like I was as a kid, you learn to be grateful for things. You learn to have an appreciation. When you are inundated with money and wealth, you take things for granted, and there's a great sense of entitlement, which to me is a disease. Yeah. And so every time I came here, the great enjoyment was, I'm at the home of golf.
Right.
I'm at St. Andrews, which is steeped in tradition and history, and at a game that I love. And I'm in a town where the people are so friendly and kind. And the greatest moment was not playing actually on the golf course in the tournament itself, was when Arnold Palmer and I one night, we teed off at 10 o'clock at night. We said, come on, let's go and play a few holes at 10 o'clock at night. And there was nobody there on the first tee. By the time we got to the third hole, there were 5,000 people. Dogs, people out with their children, all walking around with us.
They heard you guys were out there.
They phoned each other in the town. It's like a bloody magnet. In those days, you didn't have the internet, you know. Those days it was, hey, they're on the course. Hey, go tell them this. 5,000 by the time we get to the third hole.
Wow.
And I mean, that was something, with all the history and with all the greatness that's taken place in this friendly little town, the home of golf. And then to see this happening, wow, that floored me.
Do you wish you on the edge of 75 you were playing this year?
No, I don't think you should be allowed to play at 75.
So you like the rules okay with you?
I think we're finding out, and I think we must take heed that Tom Watson at 60, or almost 60,
Right.
nearly won the tour. Should have won
Right.
it. He was the most unlucky thing I've seen.
Right.
I don't think that 60 is the age anymore. I think they should go gradually and see how it goes. Go to 62.
Right.
Because a man of 62 today can still play extremely well. Age is something that is so amazing about this championship. The club, it goes through your mind, the clubs they played with, the damn ball that went 150 yards less than now. How they first found out how to get a ball where they were chipping away at this ball at night, the gutty percha.
Yeah.
And they chipped it away and suddenly they could control it and draw it.
Right.
And if you really think the things that have transpired here as compared to anywhere else, you cannot make a comparison between the US Open and the Masters and the PGA to this. This is streets ahead in every respect. And if you love the game of golf, you see it clearly. If you're a young man, you say, well, I prefer the US Open because you're a US Open citizen. That doesn't make sense. If you love the game of golf, it doesn't matter. I'm not a US Open citizen, a US citizen or a British citizen. But I look at it and I say, there's no comparison of what's transpired in the championship.
Well, Gary, thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.